I'm Wendell Jones.
And I'm Tanya Kane-Perry.
With NewsWrap, a summary of some of the news intersecting LGBTQ communities around the world for the week ending October 5th, 2019.
4 young queer activists in the Republic of Mauritius are challenging their country's law against consensual adult same-gender sex. It's the palm tree-lined white beaches and turquoise seas that draw tourists to the tiny island nation in the Indian Ocean off the southeast coast of Africa. But do the tourists know that anyone convicted under Section 250 of the Mauritian Criminal Code Act of 1838 faces up to 5 years in prison? Nahib Ahmed Fokirbox is the lead plaintiff. He told the LGBTQ website, The Ruston Times, that LGBT people in Mauritius are your friends, family, and neighbors, and deserve the same rights to have loving, caring relationships as everyone else. It's time to get rid of this colonial-era law, and we ask all Mauritians to support our effort. The 4 plaintiffs are all members of the Young Queer Alliance and come from Hindu, Christian, and Muslim backgrounds. They filed their lawsuit on September 30th. It argues that Section 250 is an unconstitutional violation of LGBTQ people's fundamental human rights and freedoms. Fokirbox told Reuters that many LGBT plus people and others do not want to come on holiday to a country where they cannot relax and be free. By scrapping the law, Mauritius will be telling the world that all people are welcome and they can come and be safe here. The case could take up to 2 years to litigate, but the plaintiffs are all ready for the long legal battle. Fokirbox admitted, "We know that homophobia won't end with the law being scrapped, but it's a step in the right direction." Death threats from conservative religious leaders and other homophobic groups forced the cancellation of Mauritius's annual Pride Parade last year.
Eggs, bottles, and flash grenades rained down on an LGBTQ pride parade in Lublin, Poland on September 28. For the second year in a row, almost as many police officers were needed to protect the march as there were marchers. Organizers had advised pride participants to hide any LGBTQ symbols while traveling to and from the event. Far-right nationalist protesters arrived carrying banners equating same-gender love with pedophilia. Police tear gas and water cannons dispersed the violent mob. 29-year-old filmmaker and parade organizer Bartosz Stachewski told Reuters that it's a horrific atmosphere we're living in. A similar scene took place in July in the Polish city of Białystok. Pride marchers said that right-wing thugs beat them despite police protection. Poland is primarily Roman Catholic, and its ruling right-wing Law and Justice Party has a long history of stoking anti-queer fears. Ahead of the October 13th national elections, it's gotten even worse. The party calls same-gender love a threat to Polish identity, a successful rallying cry, especially with the party's conservative rural base. Analysts expect Law and Justice to win another parliamentary majority for 4 more years.
Homophobic far-right thugs burst into a community center in Budapest, Hungary, hurling homophobic epithets and shouting, "Stop LGBT propaganda." Budapest Pride was ironically scheduled to screen a short film about anti-queer bullying on September 26th. Organizers say that the violent invaders were given virtually free rein by police. That is until someone poured yogurt on a zero-tolerance banner being carried by one of the thugs. Pink News reported that the human rights NGO Hungarian Helsinki Committee has filed a formal complaint over the failure of officers to remove the protesters immediately. A statement by Budapest Pride vowed to replace the disrupted program sometime soon. They blamed Hungary's far-right president Viktor Orbán for further inflaming anti-queer sentiment. Orbán recently proposed a constitutional ban on gay and lesbian adoption.
The city of Ames, Iowa will ignore a written request from the Trump administration to remove the pride-themed crosswalks at a busy commercial intersection. 2 of the crosswalks are in rainbow flag colors with brown and black added for inclusion. Another crosswalk has the trans pride flag colors of pink, blue, and white, and the 4th has stripes of purple, black, yellow, and white to represent gender non-binary people. The U.S. Department of Transportation's Federal Highway Administration demanded that Ames replace the queer colors with white-only crosswalk markings for safety reasons. Ames is the home of Iowa State University. City Attorney Mark Lambert advised the City Council this week to disregard the dictum. Lambert told the Ames Tribune that federal officials couldn't explain to me how they had jurisdiction over city streets.
Russia's so-called no promo homo law has once again been invoked to shut down queer activism. A court in St. Petersburg this week ordered 2 LGBTQ rights groups to disband for violating a law that criminalizes the promotion of gay propaganda to minors. It was signed by President Vladimir Putin in 2013. The Oktyabrski District Court decided that postings on the Russian equivalent of Facebook by the Russian LGBT network and the Russian LGBT community deny family values, propagate non-traditional sexual relations, and cause disrespect to parents and other family members. The Russian LGBT community has more than 187,000 online members, according to Agence France-Presse. Russian LGBT network spokeswoman Svetlana Sarkorova complained that the court spends about 5 minutes blocking LGBT internet resources, and the decisions have identical wording. Network attorney Alexander Belik promised the Moscow Times that they'd appeal. He maintained that the ruling violates our right to freedom of information.
Just days before we mark the 40th anniversary of the first National March on Washington for lesbian and gay rights, a first-of-its-kind National Trans Visibility March drew thousands to the U.S. Capitol on September 28th. Speakers focused on the crisis of brutal transgender murders, especially trans women of color. At least 28 trans people are known to have been killed in the U.S. so far this year. Philadelphia trans activist Alonda Talley told local D.C. TV station WUSA that, "Every morning I have to step out and worry about my safety. I would want somebody to be out here to represent me." The event came less than a week before the U.S. Supreme Court begins hearing 3 critical workplace rights cases. Those rulings will determine whether or not qualified LGBTQ people can be denied a job or fired simply because of their sexual orientation or gender identity or expression. Trans actress and activist Angelica Ross told WUSA that Congress needs to provide federal workplace protections for LGBTQ people. Ross said, "The Equality Act needs to be passed. All Americans should be free to live and to work."
The Oglala Sioux tribe has become the first Native American jurisdiction to enact hate crime laws to protect LGBTQ and two-spirited people. Indian Country Today says it could not find other laws specifying queer or two-spirit people anywhere else in the country. The Oglala Sioux Tribal Council approved the new statute in mid-September. It punishes hate crimes based on sexual orientation or gender identity or expression committed by any member of the tribe with up to a year in jail. The tribe's home is in the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. The state itself does not include LGBTQ people in its hate crime laws. Native American tribes are not subject to federal law in some circumstances and have limited rights to enact specific laws governing their own lands. Out of 573 federally recognized tribes, the Oglala Sioux is one of just 35 that have opened marriage to same-gender couples. Felipa de Leon and her spouse, Monique Mossou, are both citizens of the tribe. They lobbied the council for both marriage equality and hate crime laws. De Leon told Indian Country Today, "I have children and grandchildren. I don't know how they will identify themselves when they grow up, but I want to know they will be safe."
Finally, 2 new $1 domestic base rate stamps are now available at a post office near you if you live down under. They commemorate the advent of marriage equality in Australia. One stamp features the traditional queer pride rainbow and proclaims the catchphrase chanted from across the country during the 2017 postal plebiscite campaign, "Love is Love." An overwhelming majority of Australian citizens who mailed back their ballots supported opening the civil institution to lesbian and gay couples. The other stamp says yes, with a design based on photos taken of a lesbian and a gay couple. One is in Melbourne. The other is at the announcement of the vote in a Sydney park that was recently renamed Equality Green. Co-chair of Australian Marriage Equality, Alex Greenwich, called it a historic stamp to mark an historic achievement. If you're a collector outside Australia, you can try to get the stamps online this month at auspost.com.au/stamps, while supplies last, of course.
That's NewsWrap, global queer news with attitude for the week ending October 5th, 2019. Follow the news in your area and around the world. An informed community is a strong community.
NewsWrap is written by Greg Gordon, edited by Lucia Chappelle, produced by Brian DeShazer and Marlena Bond, recorded at the studios of KPFK Los Angeles, and brought to you by you.
Help keep us in ears around the world at thiswayout.org, where you can also read the text of this newscast and much more.
And you can listen to NewsWrap each week by subscribing to our This Way Out Radio YouTube channel. For This Way Out, I'm Wendell Jones.
And I'm Tanya Kane Perry.